Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that you won't watch on YouTube, namely where Naruto roasts Kushina and Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my Boosty channel at the link in the description. You say baby pink. I say blood red. You say Hannah Montana. I say 3 Days Grace. You say Zac Efron. I say Naruto. You say rap. I say rock. You say that I am strange. I answer, yes, it's me. 92% of Swiss teenagers have switched to rap. If you are in the remaining 8%, then please welcome to my evil abode. By Swiss Gal 16. I always read other Seiso Saku fics and most of them are good, but there was always the same thing I didn't like about them. For example, Sasuke always beats Sasori if they meet in fanfic. I hate it. Sakura always acts completely angry, I mean way too cynical, in most of the fics I've read. And conversely, sometimes she's just an angel from heaven. Sakura is often always alone when she joins Akatsuki in some fics. And what I hate the most, she always falls for Sasori too fast, cute scenes. And I mean, why can't they wrestle? Or even almost kill each other? And then maybe, they fall for each other. Haha. So I just thought, what the hell? I'll write my own story for Seiso Saku, and one that fixes all the shortcomings. Haha, I just hope I manage to make them more readable. 10 HD, I always try to update constantly, but don't kill me if I don't. Well, this is my first Naruto fanfic. So take it easy. I have nothing. Got it? Just an ideological story. That does the math, doesn't it? Ugh, whatever. Sasori, get this damn thing sorted out. I hate waiting. Sakura, don't tell me that guy is going to be with me. I'll kill him for heaven's sake. Swiss Gal 16, yeah, whatever. That's the point. Besides, it's my story, so whatever I say, do it. Sakura and Sasori, sigh sullen faces. Swiss Gal 16, I know. Crying face. Haha, hope you guys enjoy reading it though. I'll try to update this story as soon as I can. Sakura's morning began with the sound of her alarm clock at 8 a.m. She groaned and rolled over, slamming her fist against the interrupter of her sleep. Then she rubbed her eyes, yawning and remembering what happened last night. Team 7 was on a dangerous mission, trying to get information on Akatsuki's location in the Hidden Mist village. Apparently, 2 of the organization's members were discovered there, which led to a small scuffle between them and the locals. Tsunade was informed of this and soon after, she sent Team Kakashi to Kirigakure. By the time Sakura and her friends arrived, Akatsuki had disappeared. But after learning from the villagers of the direction they had gone, Team 7 immediately set out to pursue them. Eventually, they encountered Kisame and Itachi. Naruto couldn't help but start asking them about Sasuke with threats and shouts since they were the last ones the brunette was with. But it was useless and they fought. But being caught in Itachi's genjutsu, they were forced to retreat. Sakura was not seriously injured, unlike Naruto, who needed to be taken to the hospital. That idiot, our mission failed because he always acts like a hero. Sakura muttered as she got out of bed. After quickly getting dressed and having breakfast, the girl went outside where she met Sai, who, like her, was heading to Tsunade's office to give a full report of what happened last night. Sakura knocked on the door. Come in. The firm voice of the blonde boss was heard from the office. Sai and Sakura walked in and bowed before speaking. Sakura, Sai, you're both here to give me a report, right? The Hokage didn't let them say anything, crossing her arms over her chest and turning to face them from the window. Yes, sir, Tsunade-sama, Sakura answered. Forget about it. I have a new mission for you. Sakura raised an eyebrow skeptically while Sai was as emotionless as usual, but they both listened attentively. We have reason to believe that Akasuna no Sasori is alive, along with Deidara, Haiden, and Kakuzu. Akasuna no Sasori or Sasori of the Red Sands, his nickname in Sunatransel. Sakura's eyes widened. What? Didn't we kill them? Didn't Deidara blow himself up? Tsunade closed her eyes for a moment before answering. You're right. Sasori is dead, but he was revived. Along with the other members of Akatsuki. What? Who? Sakura was surprised. Tsunade sighed and replied. We're not sure, but but one of the ANBU reported seeing him with his old partner Deidaren near Amigakure. And another of our shinobi spotted Haiden and Kakuzan near the mountains. Sakura's face filled with confusion, and she rubbed her forehead, grumbling. Great damn! And what is required of us? She asked. I need you to join Akatsuki, Tsunade simply replied. Sai showed a slightly surprised face, not understanding what the Hokage said. Tsunade then clarified. I know it sounds stupid, but I think it's better if Naruto doesn't find out about this mission. I want you and Sai to convince Akatsuki so they can accept you. While you're there, I want you to find out who revived them. But Sasuke will definitely be with Akatsuki because of his brother, so by the time he gets there, you'll both be ready. You're the strongest kunoichi, Sakura. And Sai was part of ANBU, so I have no doubt that you'll be strong enough to do it. I know it's a Herculean task for just the two of you, but I believe in you. Sakura nodded, understanding what Tsunade said. I see, so when should we leave? She asked. You can leave tomorrow. I'll tell Naruto that you're both on a simple mission to escort someone to the Rain Village. He won't make such a fuss unless he hears about an important mission. Sighing and leaning back in her chair, Tsunade continued. I'm also going to give you each booklet with all the information we've gathered on all the members of Akatsuki. Biographies, and everything you need to know about their abilities. Familiarize yourself and be prepared. She motioned for Shizen to give them each a blue booklet. Sai asked a question. How do you know they will accept us so easily? You just need to somehow gain their trust. It's up to both of you to figure out how to do that. Sai and Sakura both nodded, understanding what she meant. But be careful. Akatsuki isn't that easy to fool. So be on your guard, especially you, Sakura. She then said, turning serious. But Sakura just blinked in surprise. Why me? She then asked Tsunade. Because Sasori is alive now, he'll probably want to take revenge on you after your fight. Unless he forgot, but you should keep that in mind. Sakura swallowed, remembering how strong he had been when she had fought him. Goosebumps crawled at the thought of all those human puppets, and especially his body, since he had also turned himself into a puppet, which disgusted her the most. Okay, Lady Tsunade. We'll both do our best, Sakura answered firmly. Tsunade smirked and let them go, returning to her paperwork. That same evening. Uchiha Itachi. Born June 9th, age 21. Top combat skills and abilities include ninjutsu and genjutsu. Wiped out his entire clan at the age of 13? Sakura read, feeling a little intimidated after Akatsuki's biography. So, moving on. She turned to the next page and bit her lip as she read. Akasuna no Sasori, born November 8th, 35 years old, but after turning himself into a puppet, he has the appearance of a 16-year-old. Lost his parents at an early age, started making puppets at 5. Graduated from the academy at age 7. Became a chunin at age 8. She continued reading his biography and was amazed and shocked when she finished. The girl put the booklet aside, still lying in bed, thinking about it. So Sasori is alive, she said quietly. And that means the other members are alive. But why the hell should I complete this mission if he wasn't killed? She turned on her side and remembered the fight with him. He could have easily killed her at the very last moment, but he hesitated, and let Lady Chia take the last step. Maybe I can find out why he did it, or ask him, hey, wait, am I going crazy or something? This guy who managed to defeat the third Kazekage. It'll take a lot longer than just going up to him and asking him. I need to earn his and everyone else's trust. God, at least Sai will be with me. Sakura breathed a sigh of relief. Swiss Gal 16, hooray! Chapter 2, finally. Sasori, you're still the same. Sakura, talk to me about it some more. She always rants at the beginning of the story. Swiss Gal 16. But, I mean, we'll see. It's my story. Sasori, except you don't own a single character. You're pathetic. Swiss Gal 16. I know. Crying face, ugh, let's get this over with, damn it. This is getting interesting, huh? Someone thought with a grin as they watched them. Once again, it was 10:30, and as usual, Sakura had her fists ready to meet the alarm clock, only she had already destroyed it yesterday morning. After spending the night reading the Akatsuki booklet, the girl managed to get some sleep for a couple of hours, but it didn't matter. Sakura sat up, grumbling, then she got out of bed and stopped, slapping her forehead. Today she has an important mission. The girl, having completed all the morning rituals, putting on shoes, washing, swallowing food, rushed to the hospital. Sai met her at the residence building. As usual, he was sitting there with his sketchbook, one of which he quickly sketched, leaning against a tree trunk. Today I made a description of the recently released series with Sai http://www.narutopedia.ru/wiki/naruto_shippuden_episode_238 Hey Sai! What are you drawing? Sakura asked as she approached the pale-faced boy. He smiled sweetly with his slit-like eyes and showed her the drawing. The pink-haired girl's veins began to throb on her forehead as she realized it was her portrait. More precisely, a caricature. The forehead was abnormally large. What do you think? Sai asked, smiling falsely. The girl clenched her fist and then hit him hard in the face, but was surprised when fountains of ink flew in all directions. Where are you? Don't think I'm going to let you get away with that worthless drawing, she screamed, baring her teeth and looking around. Then Sai appeared behind her and said, I thought I played up your femininity. Sakura slapped him. Sai just rubbed his cheek in bewilderment. Then he pulled out a small book and became absorbed in reading. What did I do wrong? He asked himself. After all, I did everything according to the guide. How to be a good and honest friend. Sakura rubbed her forehead in despair, sighed and said, It's okay, Sai. We better start our mission. Sai put his notebook in his bag and nodded. They both went to the Hokage, where Shizen gave them new clothes, and they left the village, thinking of a strategy along the way. After long hours of tiring travel, they stopped to set up a small camp for the night in the forest. The sun had already set below the horizon, and the sound of owls hooting could be heard everywhere. It was a beautiful night, and all the stars in the sky were surrounded by clouds, along with the moon, whose radiance created an unexpected picture than during the day. It was awkward with Naruto, Sakura said sadly, breaking the silence. Agreed, Sai suddenly spoke up, making everyone turn to him. But this is Tsunade-sama's order. Besides, we'll all feel better if he stays in the hospital. You're right. I'm still worried that if aka... The girl suddenly fell silent. It was Sai who covered her mouth. Shh, don't relax, he whispered in her ear. Green eyes widened in surprise, and when he removed his hand from her mouth, she slowly stood up, looking around for any rustling sounds. Sakura then pulled on her gloves and motioned for Sai to move away, raising her fist sharply. The forest shook with a huge force, and a groan was heard. The girl grinned, and then ran forward, jumping over large mounds of earth until she reached the source of the sound. She was very surprised when she saw the blond man pinned down by a decent-sized rock. He breathed heavily and slowly raised his head to look at the girl. So small, but so much noise, cough cough, said the flattened one in a hoarse voice. She gritted her teeth, trying to stop the veins in her forehead from pulsating. Sai appeared behind Sakura and was surprised to see an Akatsuki member. They helped him get out, and now he was looking at them. Your face seems familiar to me, the demolition man thoughtfully drilled the girl with one eye. Probably. Sakura bit her lower lip, but before she could answer, Deidara loudly exclaimed, Master Sasori! And then he wilted, hearing, An idiot who thinks that true art lasts only a few seconds. Deidara, we must go. A deep voice was heard from behind the girl. Sakura's eyes widened, her pupils moving in panic when she recognized the voice. She slowly turned her head. In front of her stood the one she had killed a year ago along with the now deceased Kaiba-sama. Sasori of the Red Sands. Sakura slowly looked away, searching for Sai. Sasori smiled for a second, closed his eyes, and calmly explained, I just knocked him out. He'll be fine. And then he added, You can join us. But if you try anything... He glared at her, turning and walking away with Deidara. You'll join my collection. Sakura thanked the heavens that the resurrection had taken away their memories. She slowly followed them. Wait a minute. I forgot something. Sasori was somewhat surprised and waited calmly with Deidara until the girl returned with the brunette. This will be interesting, The camera explosive hybrid grinned. Sai, you forgot me. Sakura, look. I already apologized. Sai, true friends never forget each other. That's what my book says. Sakura, yeah? Sasori, that's not the case, apparently. Sakura, what are you doing here? Sasori, sightseeing, what do you think? I'm one of the main characters in this story, Baka. Sakura, more like one of the main junkies in history. Grr. Swiss Gal 16, calm down everyone. Let's just take a moment and hug. Sasori, Sakura, Sai, in chorus, shut up. Swiss Gal 16, crying face. We all have secrets. They are best left unspoken. We all have problems. What we want to forget. I got punched. From my naughty girl. I played with her mind. Planted bombs to get inside. But now my favorite toy is leaving, she said. No regrets. Why love and hate? Do they often walk one step away from each other? What's left? Hey, Sasori Dana. Deidara fell behind his master and Sakura. What? Why the hell should I carry this guy, he asked, trying to shake Sai awake. He finally sighed and simply waltzed side bridal style. Sakura burst out laughing. Sasori watched this for a while and said to his partner, You could always use one of those things you call art and fly ahead of us, Baka. Deidara felt annoyed and began to boil. Why didn't you tell me earlier, master? You should have figured that out on your own, Sasori said bluntly. Sakura immediately stopped giggling and became more serious. Deidara smirked, putting Sai on the ground and taking some clay from his hip bags, made the seals. Dog, goat. Instantly, a large bird grew up, which swallowed Sai. Sakura only managed to gasp and tried to stop Deidara, who had already jumped on the bird. Sasori grabbed her hand for a couple of seconds, stopping, and smiled faintly. Clay doesn't eat people. Sakura stared at him. Sasori and Sakura watched as Deidara waved at them and flew away saying, Art is an explosion. Sakura was stunned by this. If you dare, you'll get porridge made from a birch broom. Sasori chuckled, looking at the bird as if it was the most repulsive thing he had ever seen. He then looked at Sakura, who was still watching the dot on the horizon. Childishness. True art should be beautiful, it should be remembered by descendants, eternal beauty. Sakura turned to him with a smile. You know, my friend is also involved in art. Really? He asked, slightly betraying his curiosity. Yeah, he often paints pictures with paint. He's really good actually. I just think that maybe you two could get along better, seeing as how you and Deidara are always arguing, she said, feeling herself start to blush, nervous as he continued to stare at her. Not interested, Sasori snapped. Sakura felt out of place. Idiot, I blurted out something inappropriate, and didn't notice how she tripped over her own feet. The girl grabbed the first thing she could find, in this case, it was Sasori's cloak, and closed her eyes in fear. Disaster girl, a voice was heard from somewhere above, and unbelievable. A slow, dull beating. What? Is that my heart beating like that? She thought, as she was suddenly pulled and put on her feet with the words. You have to grow and grow to match my collection. Why is that? Sakura was surprised. Think about it yourself. Sakura swung at him in anger, but the chakra threads prevented her from doing so. Don't bother. This body doesn't feel pain. You'll only hurt your hand. Sakura bit her lip and thought. That makes sense, and unclenched her fingers. Sasori removed his threads and they continued on their way. Here we are, the puppeteer said quietly as they approached the unsightly rock, looking around to make sure no one was watching. Then he made the seals and placed his hand on the ground. The ground shook and suddenly an entrance appeared on the front side of the rock. Then they approached it and entered the formed passage, when suddenly Haydn appeared in front of them, from underground. Hee. I'll bleep out some of his words, Gvanta's note. You're an asshole. You promised me that you'd get my bleep hand back from this bleep forest. He yelled at Sasori, who calmly looked at the foul-mouthed man. Sakura noticed that the slicked-back man was missing a hand. Sakura asked Sasori quietly. His beep probably hurts a lot. I'm making fun of one horny idiot from my group, Gvanta's note. You should wash your mouth with soap, the red-haired man summed up thoughtfully. Hayden started his ranting again when he noticed a Kanuchi nearby. What beep? Look, I'll beat the beep out of you. Yeah, beep me already. He stopped. Sasori's eyes widened, but it was too late. The picture suddenly became darker. You idiot! She's here to join Akatsuki! Sasori growled at Hayden. Wait, so I shouldn't have then? Oh beep. Hayden no longer paid attention to the author's beeps, thoughtfully scratching his hair with the shaft of his scythe. Some of you might find the title of this chapter a bit strange, but you'll see why it was used instead of some fantasy. Sasori, fantasy would certainly be a more interesting title than the one you chose. Sakura, this is where I unconditionally agree. Swiss Gal 16, why the hell is everyone bullying me? Sasori and Sakura look thoughtfully at the ceiling. Swiss Gal 16, well, of course. After several injuries, she can still walk. I've come to the right place. She is all mine. You don't have to show it. What are you waiting for? Swiss Gal 16, we all know what school is like before the new year. Sasori, so you're lazy? Swiss Gal 16, no. Sakura, do you forget to add a new chapter? Swiss Gal 16, no. Deidara, I know, yes. You're too busy to write. Swiss Gal 16, absolutely right. Thank you, Deidara. Deidara, no problem. Sasori, but you're still weird. Swiss Gal 16, I know. Crying face. What an idiot. Sasori exhaled, lamenting, closing his eyes and slowly shaking his head left and right. So why did you turn off the supposed Akatsuki member? He muttered grumpily, trying not to look as Deidara appeared and ran into Hayden. Censored? This is actually Sai's favorite word, but he's also out cold translator's note. No one told me another bastard was going to join us. Hayden started ranting, trying to shake Deidara off his neck. Bastard? Surprise face, is that you, me? Deidara was caught off guard, which Hayden took advantage of by throwing him into a tree. Deidara instantly jumped to his feet. Hayden grinned. Shut up. Both of you. Sasori emphasized each word, preventing a fight. We need to move her. He finished, looking back at the sleeping Sakura. Hayden muttered something about his rituals and left them. Dark. She was standing in a very strange place. Where am I? Sakura asked herself as she tried to find a way out of the darkness. She walked around and stopped when she saw a light ahead of her. The girl followed it and soon found herself at a large crater. She looked in and gasped when she saw hundreds of corpses. They were covered in blood, but that wasn't what scared her the most. When Sakura descended into the crater, she realized that these were the bodies of all her friends. Naruto, Ino, Hinata, Sai, Lee, Tenten, everyone. Her lips trembled and she began to scream, clutching her hair and falling to her knees. This can't be! Sakura screamed. She then hesitantly reached out her hand towards Naruto's body. And I was very surprised when a small wound from something sharp appeared on my finger, and blood started flowing. What is this? She asked herself. Sakura Haruno, the girl heard a deep voice. She looked around and screamed. Who's there? Show yourself. She didn't notice the dark figure looming over her from behind. When the girl turned around, her eyes widened. The figure was dressed in a long, brown, bloody cloak with a hood that covered his eyes. Swords protruded from his body, and he held a long dagger in his right hand. http://telescop.yk.webs.com/caption-54116-10808084842.jpg. Who are you? She asked in a trembling voice, quickly standing up and trying to take a step back. But something was holding her back. She looked back and saw Naruto's face. Sakura was speechless, she was in a stupor. Her face was filled with fear and horror as the figure slowly approached her. Sakura, I want you to show me the meaning of love again, the figure answered gloomily, pulling his cloak with a jerk. I'm shocked by the author. These are Gaara's words. Translator's note. Sakura was even more surprised. It was Sasori in his old puppet body. I wonder how he's different now. Trans. Question. Sasori, she whispered. Did you do this? The puppeteer only smirked, stopping next to her. A stupid question. She knew the answer to it perfectly well. The girl's eyes watched in horror as Sasori ran the dagger down the soft skin, leaving a bloody trail. Sakura could hardly hold back her tears, realizing her hopeless situation. Sasori watched the captive with interest and licked off a drop of blood, not allowing it to hide behind the collar of the girl's blouse. His lips were cold and hard, making her body shudder with every touch. I'll always be here to haunt you, little one, Sasori whispered, thrusting the dagger into Sakura's stomach. A strangled cry. No! Sakura jumped out of bed, breathing heavily. Sasori and Deidara were arguing about whose art was better. http://youtube.b/sipgnmqlrr4 when they were distracted by Sakura's loud awakening. The puppeteer walked up to her and sat on the edge of the bed. Sasori, she whispered. He nodded. We apologize for Haiden. He tried to do something irrational, but I'm surprised at how long you were unconscious. Sakura sighed, thinking. So it was just a nightmare. Deidara snuck up to her bed and patted her on the shoulder, but she immediately reacted and punched him in the stomach. Sasori raised an eyebrow, but then he began to smirk when he saw his partner once again, lying on the ground with Dei's art swirling around in a halo shape. Sakura gasped. Sorry, Deidara. It's just a reflex, she apologized, smiled weakly, and standing up, helped him up. It's not fatal. I'll live, he answered in a hoarse voice, slowly getting up with trembling legs. Sakura noticed a wound on one of her arms and began to use a medical jutsu. Dei watched her hands in surprise. Then she stopped and sat on the bed, wiping the sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. Phew. Your hands should be fine now. But don't scare me like that again. Sasori watched everything and was quite impressed by how quickly she managed to heal Deidara, but he didn't show it. Sakura looked at Sasori and asked, So, where is Sai anyway? Who? Sasori asked, looking puzzled. She gasped and hitting herself on the forehead, Dei and Sasori fell into a drop, clarified. My partner. He was stuck on the couch in the big living room, yes. Deidara gestured for the girl to follow him. Living room, confused face? Sakura couldn't believe her ears as she walked into a fairly large room with stone walls. In the middle stood a large table with chairs around it. This is a conference room, Deidara suddenly spoke up. This is where we discuss new missions. She nodded and soon noticed Sasori walking next to her. Deidara stopped in front of a large door and slowly opened it. They then found themselves in the middle of a long corridor with many doors on the sides. The Great Suzanin, Deidara led the entire expedition on a hike to find Sai. Another door. Deidara reached for the handle. All the members of Akatsuki were sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the screen. Sai was sitting between Haiden and Kakuzu. He had a large bag of chips in his hands. Everyone took a little from the bag. Sakura watched the events in a drop. She was especially amazed by Haiden. Thinking, wow, men. Everyone sat down. Sasori sighed and said, Do we always have to watch this bad taste? Tobi, who was sitting next to him and Deidara, jumped up. This is not bad taste, Sasori no Dana. This is beautiful, he babbled, wiping away tears invisible through the mask. No, Emily. You know that I love you, but we can't go on like this. The man on the screen spoke with emotion. That's why. I have to leave you. Everyone except Sasori, Itachi, Kakuzu and Sakura herself, who was watching the movie with skepticism, gasped. Sai was as always emotionless. And this is the most dangerous and ruthless organization Akatsuki? Sakura was speechless. Sai handed her a bag of chips, smiling with slit-like eyes. Do you want it, Sakura-chan? Sakura fell into a drop and a shadow hung over Sai. I let it slip. It's a pity that your brand on your tongue disappeared after Danzo's death. I wish I could get it back. The girl was already polishing her fists. To fail an important mission because of such stupidity. But she didn't show it, She stretched her lips into a sickening smile and took some chips from the offered bag. "Oh, by the way, we've been waiting for you, Sakura Haruno." Sakura jumped up in surprise. The news had spread quickly while she was sleeping. It was the red-haired guy with the piercing who spoke up. Sakura's whole life flashed before her eyes. The piercing looked at the bored Malvina, sitting next to her. "Now there are 2 girls here, Conan." She just snorted tiredly. He stood up and blocked the screen with himself to numerous sighs of displeasure, and dare I say it, joy. "We have a new member of our organization. Please, everyone, please proceed to the conference room." "I think we can do it here too." The guy with the ponytail began to sing his tune. "Kisame, turn off that damn box." The blue one reluctantly stood up and did as his comrade asked. When the lights came on, night watch. Everyone come out of the darkness. Translator's note. Sakura was able to see and recognize everyone. The guy with the piercing turned out to be Pain, the leader of the entire flock of birds. Malvina, Conan, the boringly drawing guy who needs to go to the hairdresser Itachi, his blue friend Kisame, the darned one Kakuzu, the crazy one who cracked then Haiden, Mask, Toby, the one who was always chewing and whispering Zetsu. And everyone stared at the girl, who just stood there without expression and squeezed Sai painfully with her hand. "That's it, Sai, you're getting grants. We'll survive, you'll spend the night at the traumatologist's." She rustled furtively under the ear of the brunette, who realized his miscalculation. Toby relieved the oppressive atmosphere by shouting. And Toby fell in love, and threw himself on her neck. Sakura, at such an unexpected manifestation of feelings of a strange creature, slapped him, but slightly miscalculated. Boom, and a new cell appeared for the hapless Toby. "Yes, your abilities are phenomenal," concluded Pain, "so, we've already checked Sai. I think we can accept you. Is everyone okay? And I'm starting to like her more and more, The Demolition Man smiled to himself, and whispered to his teacher. "Sasori no Dana, raise your hand." "Sakura Haruno, Sasori thought, and raised his hand up. His example was gradually followed by all the others. Sakura exhaled calmly. "Of course, we'll test you on a mission," he added, leaving the room with Conan. "Now your partner is Sasori." Sakura and the puppeteer's eyes widened. "Being on a team with a recently resurrected mass murderer wasn't part of my mission, damn it," Sakura thought to herself, almost crying, as she accepted the black cloak with red clouds from Kakuzu's hands. Stepping out into the corridor, Sakura noticed Sasori, who was apparently waiting for her. He threw at the girl. "Let's go." "I don't like waiting." Sakura sighed in frustration. "Yes, Lord Sasori." But her thoughts became cheerful. "So far, things are going well." They walked in silence the whole way. Sakura noticed room number 3 on the right and instinctively reached out to it. Suddenly, a loud explosion was heard behind the door. The girl jumped in surprise. She turned to Sasori in surprise. He reluctantly answered. "This is Daidara's room." Sakura thought. "Well, Sai is lucky," and asked out loud. "And does he often do landscape design?" Sasori looked at her with wide eyes. The girl immediately fell silent and swallowed. "It is still unknown what to expect from this." Suddenly the door opened and Sai appeared in the doorway with his eternal smile. Sakura was able to look over his shoulder at several huge holes in the floor. Sai noticed Sakura's gaze and asked, "What do you think about the room's decor?" "And a little quieter in my ear, I think it's terrible." The brunette kindly invited him to come through, but the girl waved her hand, saying that she needed to go after Sasori. "So he's already left?" Sai cooed sweetly. Sakura was dumbfounded. Sai smiled sweetly. "Daidara said that he lives in room 9. Bye." Sakura went to look for this room. "Fuck you, Kakuzu. I'm not cleaning my circle." "I don't care." Haiden cursed behind one of the doors. Apparently, he didn't want to help Kakuzu clean up. Boom, the tip of the pagan's long needle appeared in the door. "What the hell am I doing in this crazy house?" the girl thought, speeding up before she finally reached the end of the hallway and looked at the doors on both sides. Then Sakura remembered that the room number was 9. But before she entered, the door behind her opened. She turned around and saw Itachi. When he came out, he just looked at the girl for a moment and said, "I'd be more careful if I were you." Sasori isn't the type to be trusted in the company of others, not to mention you're the one who killed him. Her eyes widened, her fists tensed for battle, and then she responded in a powerful tone. Thanks for the advice, but I think I can handle it. Red eyes widened and slightly mockingly shimmered through them with circles of Tomo. Note beta what circles. He turned away and said, the Akatsuki unification will not bring me closer to my stupid brother. It will only bring me closer to your death. Sakura watched the retreating figure with an angry look, not knowing what to make of the elder Uchiha's statements. So this bastard has figured us out already, huh? Well, I hope he's not a rat. Inner Sakura suddenly spoke up in a thin voice. Sakura rubbed her forehead and turned to the door on the right. Number 9. It's here, she said to herself, and then slowly turned the doorknob. Her hands were shaking slightly. The girl still remembered Itachi's words. She turned and, taking a deep breath, opened the door. When the girl entered, Sasori was not there, but she noticed that it was quite a large space compared to Day and Sai's room. But the design of the room was quite simple. A large dark red carpet, a large dining table in the middle, dolls hanging on the walls, a black sofa on the right side, against the wall, and a large bed with dark red blankets on it stood to the left of the window. She also saw a door that probably led to the bathroom. There was a toilet next to it. Then Sakura heard the sound of falling water, so she slowly closed the door behind her. The girl noticed a bookshelf next to a black leather sofa and a tall silver lamp for easy reading. Wow! She marveled to herself. She put her backpack on the couch and walked over to the bookshelf. I wonder what kind of books Sasori reads, she thought. The art of puppeteering, chakra control through the fingers, murder stories, how the human mind works. She was surprised to notice some similarities in their tastes, except for the book about murders that she picked up. She had enough adrenaline at work. It's comfortable here, isn't it? She heard a voice very close. She quickly put the book back and turned around sharply. So much so that she bumped into someone and fell on them. Their body was wet from head to toe. Sakura felt his bare torso with her hands and immediately blushed, not daring to raise her eyes, which she tightly closed. This is this body. How lucky you are, my friend! Inner Sakura screamed and beat the gong. Buratino is washing himself? Wow! Just like a human! Translator's note, ahahaha, cheerful translator beta's note. Maybe you'll get off me? Sasori's voice seemed to douse the girl like cold water. Sorry. Sakura answered, stepping back a little and looking down. Sasori, who ended up with a towel on his hips, smirked slightly. It's okay. How are we going to divide the room space? He went to the closet, put on his robe and sat down in the chair, with a rather bored expression on his face. After that, Sakura calmed down, went to the sofa and sat down too. They both looked into each other's eyes for a long time. And although Sakura seemed calm, her inner Sakura was still interested in seeing Sasori in Adam's suit. You can do without the leaf. Translator's note. But Sakura pushed her inner friend. Wow, how is that possible? Beta note aside and said, if we want to get along in this room, there must be some rules. Sasori raised an eyebrow and replied, really? And since when should I take orders from a girl? She gritted her teeth and snapped. Don't forget that this girl broke you. She saw the mood growing in his eyes, and it stirred her thoughts. Half right. My grandmother was the one who broke me in the end. And yet you could have easily dodged the attack at the last moment, she added, looking closely at his face. His eyes widened a little at her remark, and then he said, is this true? She didn't answer, she just continued to look at him, but then she sighed, deciding that she didn't want to confront him. Anyway, that's off topic. Now the rules, she continued, leaning back on the couch. Ah, yes, your rules, he muttered. I wonder what kind of rules. Yes. Now, first of all, when I'm in the bathroom, you have to knock. He gave Sakura a puzzled look and replied sarcastically. Why should I knock? Because you're a man, that's why, she replied, smirking to herself. And before he could say anything else, she added, secondly, you can't go through my things. If you do, it'll be like what happened today. Pfft. What kind of things could deserve my attention? Stupid rules. If you don't want to know. In any case, thirdly, Maybe I should kill you. He interrupted the girl abruptly. Can I finish? She growled, barely keeping herself within the bounds of decency. If you're going to spend the rest of the evening telling me all these stupid rules, then I have no desire to stay here and listen to you. Sasori stood up, grabbed some clothes from the closet, and went to change in the bathroom. She clenched her fists, trying to suppress her anger. Rule number 3, if you bother me, I'll leave. Sakura stopped, holding her lower jaw. It was one of those dolls that had been hanging on the walls before, but it had chakra threads on it, and it went out the door into the hallway. I sent the letter. Try not to react so sharply next time. Sakura saw Sasori come out in red shorts that reached halfway to his calves. She frowned, then walked past him with her head held high, throwing a towel over her shoulder and heading into the bathroom. He just chuckled at her reaction and picked up the book she was looking at near his bed earlier. Yes, he decided to give her the bed translator's note. It could have been even more interesting, he said to himself. Then he turned and looked at the bathroom door, behind which he could hear the sound of water. Then he realized that he forgot his shirt in the bathroom, but Sakura was already in the shower, so he walked over to the bathroom door and opened it, saying, I forgot my shirt here, so I just... What the hell are you doing? I already told you this, you damn pervert! Sakura screamed. Meanwhile, the puppet, on behalf of Sasori, invited everyone to celebrate Sakura's housewarming. Deidara Sai, Haiden, Kakuzu and everyone else were surprised by the screams coming from room number 9. What the hell is going on there, Dei asked. Sakura was probably just angry. Sai answered him. Maybe the puppeteer decided to add her to his collection, Haiden suggested, grinning. Stop your jokes, Haiden, Kakuzu cut off his partner. Maybe he really got her or something else happened, Kisame said with a toothy smile. And before they could come to a common denominator, Sasori suddenly flew out of the door of his room, landing gracefully on Dei, who could only greet him with a muffled Master. Then a disheveled girl with a towel around her body flew out of the room. I told you, no, damn it. And you sleep on the rug, she finished, throwing a black t-shirt at him. The towel did not expect the sharp throw and flew down. All the Akatsuki jaws stumbled to the ground. Conan angrily covered Paine's eyes with her hand. What the hell are you all staring at? This is our showdown, Sakura shouted, not understanding the situation. Swiss Gal 16, oh my god, I finally finished this chapter. I don't know why, but this was harder to write than the others. But I'm sure you'll like it. P.S. I decided to participate in making a video with several people. http://youtube.b/03ylrwvo6c83 and 6 are mine. Just choose an anime and go. In the preface there is a song by 30stm, A Beautiful Lie. I'm not sure what you guys will think about this, but it's for fun, yeah? Sasori, and what is this game called? Swiss Gal 16, more, smiley face. Sasori, pfft. Swiss Gal 16, crying face, whatever. Anyway, I'd also just like to thank everyone for reviewing this story. Chapter 7. Human Affections. Swiss Gal 16. I give you drumroll a new chapter. Wahahaha. Sasori, should we always talk before a chapter starts? Deidara, I think it's funny, Sasori, shut up, Deidara. Sakura, don't tell him to shut up. Sasori, stay out of this, Sakura. Sakura, don't make me use force. Evil glare. Swiss Gal 16, can I have a say in this matter? All no. Swiss Gal 16, crying face. From Guanta, there were some questions, yes. Tomo, this is the sign by which the Sharingan patterns are constructed. See in Narutopedia. Sasori is not trusted by people according to Itachi. Do you know what makes Eki manga so popular? Hints, jokes, and guys constantly getting screwed over throughout the long plot. And the kiss only happens at the very end, let alone the bed scenes. What am I getting at? Well, here's what. Sasori calmly got up from Dei, quickly rushed to Sakura and shielded her with his back, even though she was wearing a swimsuit. Surprise. Conan with relief removed her hand from Paine's face, who kept whispering to her. This is how we should have caught the QB. This is how. And you kept refusing. And mentally thanked the puppeteer. Sasori prudently pushed Sakura out the door into the room and made an announcement. I think we'll get together tomorrow. Good night, everyone. Everyone reluctantly began to disperse. Deidara and Haiden were the last to leave. Sir, let me change rooms with you, asked Dei, who was hovering around the puppeteer. Listen, friend, give up the girl. The pagan did not calm down. No, guys. You, Dei, can accidentally blow it up with your clay. And Sai has paints. Dei immediately became sad. And you, Haiden, are always throwing your hands around. Now you have 1.5 hands. The pagan looked at his stump. Well, you're always talking about this. I said Tayuya would bring it to me. Sasori sighed tiredly. Go to her with Deidara. And he slammed the door in their faces. You sleep on the couch, Sasori said and walked over to his desk. Sakura, with a turban on her head, asked again. On the sofa? But she instantly remembered her rug and bit her tongue, continuing to dry her hair. Although the girl was grateful to Sasori, at the same time she was offended by him. He drove me to it, the parasite. Sasori was busy fixing one of his puppets. After a while, he was distracted by 2 puppy dog green eyes. Yes. Somewhere else? He answered lazily, looking at the girl through the mirror. Sakura twirled her hair, blushing, and then said, Well, the bed is more comfortable. Sasori stopped and turned around, looking at her with a puzzled expression. Hesitating, he said, So, why would I let you sleep in my bed? Listen, Sasori, she said in a sullen tone that made him raise an eyebrow. I know this is a stupid situation, but after what happened to Haiden, I have a damn right to sleep under guard. Like I'm security. Sasori frowned, but grinned, looking at the girl's folded palms and said, Great, but you'll be lying on the edge. Thank you. Sakura beamed with happiness. The night will be hellishly hot. Inner Sakura rubbed her hands in anticipation. After 10 minutes, Sakura, bored, decided to read and took a book from the shelf. The Art of Puppeteering. She smiled and leafed through the book, slowly walking around the bed and sitting on the edge. Sasori, unnoticed by the girl, so immersed in reading, watched her out of the corner of his eye. Then he sighed and put down his tools, deciding it was late, and walked to the right side of the bed. She looked at him in surprise, but then went back to her book, turning the pages. He looked at her curiously and slowly approached, looking over her shoulder. She noticed him looking at the book, so he asked, still standing, Do you like it? She smiled slightly and replied, Yes, it's interesting. I like reading about different types of fighting techniques, but I've never read about puppetry. Then he asked with poorly concealed enthusiasm, Is this more interesting than Deidara's clay explosion? Sakura put the book down and replied, Deidara is a good guy, but his creations are kind of, well, stupidity? Not like that. Repulsive? No, that's not the word, she said, scratching her chin with her finger, thinking. I mean, they're too simple. Sasori sat down, and Sakura continued. His creations don't have any real constructions. He just comes up with whatever pops into his head. I mean, I like some of his work, but when it comes to abstract figures, the work feels unfinished. Really? He asked, lying down and leaning on his hand as he listened to her. The girl continued. How do you cope with the human body now? He widened his eyes a little and looked down, saying, It's completely different. But I'm getting used to it. It only worries me that I can't live in it forever. I always thought that art is something that lives forever, and now, look at me. Sakura looked at him sadly, but then she smiled, placing her hand on his cheek and gently stroking it. He shuddered slightly from her touch. A question froze in the puppeteer's eyes. The girl hurried to answer. Nothing lasts forever, Sasori. But you should be happy, being human now. What's the point? Because now you can experience life from a different perspective. Plus, if you were a puppet. She leaned forward and kissed him softly on the forehead, continuing her thought. You wouldn't be able to feel that touch, would you? His features softened, he smirked and said, You know, I have a book. The way the human mind works. Finally, after 35 years, I started to be interested in something other than dolls, PM. It says that when people who show love to each other, he finished with an evil grin. Sakura's face turned the color of a tomato. She threw a pillow at him. The puppeteer chuckled at this and threw it back, saying, "You don't have to deny it, Sakura. No matter how hot he is, he becomes too transparent," Inner Sakura stated. "Damn, I'm parodying Hachibi, who took the fashion from P/P. Sakura then nodded and pushed him off the bed with a smirk. Sasori fell down growling, but when he stood up he smiled an evil smile. He took the covers and threw himself on her, pinning her to the bed with the covers. "Hey, what are you doing?" she muttered, feeling trapped and dropping all you. "Sorry for being a bit weird, but from now on they'll be using you, P/N. Before Sasori could answer, they suddenly heard a small flapping sound. The boy released his grip and Sakura was able to remove the blanket from her head. They noticed a white clay bird on top. Meanwhile, "Damn it! They saw me!" Deidara complained in his room, watching the small TV screen that was showing everything that was happening in Sasori and Sakura's room. In Sasori's room. "What the hell is going on?" Sakura was dumbfounded. "One of Deidara the spy's birds," the puppeteer answered angrily. "What?" Confused face. "He usually only uses them during missions," he finished, looking at the birds. Sakura then stood next to him and started yelling at the bird, waving her fists. "Deidara, what the hell?" Deidara and Sai flinched at the sight of the enraged fury, sweat pouring down both of their faces. "I think we should hide this for a while," Deidara suggested. Sai simply nodded, and they both gasped when the screen suddenly went black. Sakura dusted off her hands and placed them on her hips, looking down at the now broken clay bird. Sasori chuckled and then appeared behind her, whispering in her ear. "I like it when you do that." She shuddered a little as his breath touched her neck. "I'll settle accounts with Deidara tomorrow. But for now, good night." Sasori put the pillow back in place and went to sleep, facing the wall. Sakura didn't calm down. "So what were you talking about there?" "Just go to bed, Sakura." Sasori cut the girl off, turning off the lamp. A few moments later. "I can't sleep," she muttered, tossing and turning. Sasori growled and replied, "Damn, me too." The girl's face lit up with a thought. "Let's take revenge on Deidara?" The puppeteer grinned and scratched the back of his head, saying, "I'll help. _____________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Found on YouTube. Itachi //. People, surprise face. OMG, Itachi is here. Itachi // Manjiku Sharingan. People are delighted. Oh. Itachi // Amaterasu. People, X_X. == Chapter 8. And in the morning they woke up, == Swissgal 16. Oh my god! I've been following this whole story and I have so many mistakes. So I'm just going to apologize to you all for that. Oh my god, but I'm still so glad you guys are actually reading this story. So thank you very much for all your reviews. But you know, I recently read Naruto manga, see chapter 518 http://www.narutopedia.ru/wiki/_55. And I am happy, because Deidara and Sasori are coming back again. Plus they started fighting each other, so I have a great day. Hee hee. Fan art for the pairing. http://img1.livetinnet.ru/b/3/11/2357011/f_1485521.jpg. Sakura yawned and tried to pull the blanket closer to her, when suddenly the blanket, like a spring, returned to its place. After several attempts, the girl realized that the blanket was not going to give in, and began to feel it. Suddenly someone, hard to the touch, panted and turned over on his side, exposing his bare shoulder. This someone turned his head and Sakura froze, not daring to breathe. With her eyes the size of 5 kopecks, she looked at the red-haired guy, who was blissfully sleeping, with his mouth slightly open. The girl smiled slightly, touched by this picture. I must admit, he doesn't look bad. What the hell do you mean not bad looking? He's a hot guy. Inner Sakura fumed. For some reason, the circumstances did not contribute to the mission's completion. The girl still has to find out who exactly brought the puppeteer and all the other Akatsuki back to life. She sighed and looked at Sasori, who was sleeping peacefully. It's interesting that an S-class criminal can be so handsome and still be alive. I must be crazy, Sakura thought, leaning closer to his face, looking at his lips with interest. But suddenly, someone burst through the door shouting, "It's time to get up, Sakura-chan! You too, Dana!" Note: Dana means master. Thank God, it's only Toby. The girl sighed with relief, quickly pulling on her robe and going to the door that the early guest opened. "Toby, kindly." Sakura didn't have time to finish her sentence, because something pot-bellied flew past her like lightning and, having thrown Toby out the door, loudly slammed the door. Something turned its muzzle towards her and turned out to be one of the puppets. Sakura thought. After all, Kankuro has exactly the same one. She felt that the threads of chakra jerked her back to the bed. "Do you always try to kiss a man when he's sleeping?" Sasori pulled her back to him, hugging her waist and resting his head on her shoulder with a thoughtful look. Sakura was stunned for a second, then realized and began to break free from the strong embrace. "I didn't kiss you. Let go." "I'm not going to." Sakura growled in frustration and began to channel chakra into her fists, but stopped, feeling that her body was not obeying. Sasori chuckled, saying, "The chakra threads are tied to you, so I'm afraid there's no point in trying." Sakura growled softly at him, but then gasped when Sasori blew on her hair from behind and said softly, "You've been pulling the covers over yourself all night. I think I deserve some warmth." Sakura rolled her eyes, begging the ceiling for mercy. "Oh great ceiling, have mercy." Smiley face P/B. But then she turned her head sharply. "Sasori," she said softly. "Yes." "How did it happen that you were resurrected?" He opened his eyes, looking at the girl with bewilderment, but then said, "It's confidential." "Why do you want to know?" "I'm just curious," she replied, looking at his fingers. Sasori sighed and whispered in her ear, his lips softly touching her pink hair. "Do you really want to know?" She widened her eyes and nodded slightly, waiting. The guy continued, "I want you to come out and fight with me." Sakura didn't even raise an eyebrow. She just asked, "Will you tell me after this?" Sasori removed his hands and, getting up from the bed, went to the closet, took out a clean shirt and long pants and pulled them on. "Get dressed, but hurry up," the guy said, and taking hold of the door handle added, "I'll wait in the hallway." Sakura smiled wickedly and said, "Okay, but I'm the first to shower." But as soon as she closed the door behind her, Sasori added, "Let's have breakfast. A warrior is bad on an empty stomach." A little about the author herself. Swiss Gal 16. Elizabeth Walton. Switzerland. Well, first of all, my name is Isa, nickname. I was born in Switzerland lived in South Africa for 7 years, but then we moved back to Switzerland about 3 years ago. I speak German, English and a little French. I have no breaks at all. I really love drawing, writing, making videos. My clay animation http://youtube.b/wfalta_uvq, and everything in that direction, hehe. But at that moment I was hooked on drawing manga characters. I hate doing things for commission. I was always drawn to my own creativity. I never thought about settling on DeviantArt, but I already have 2, YouTube and Fanfiction, so I just thought, what the hell? Why not? 10 haha, so I don't really understand how everything works here, but I'll be able to figure it out soon. XD http://www.youtube.com/user/epicxdarkness http://swissgal16.deviantart.com/gallery Chapter 9. Fun in the Rain. Gvanta, sorry for the silence. A friend, a writer, gave me her 140-page fantasy. I'm sitting here, sorting it out. For all Seisosaku fans, an amazing video, Sasori vs Sakura fight. It's really cool, laughing face. Pay attention to the time, 1:50. http://youtube.b/04jtnm6efo0. You're late, Sasori-sama, Conan said, giving her voice an indifferent tone, seeing the puppeteer and Sakura enter the kitchen. Lady Angel was wearing a white apron and was frying pancakes. While Sasori was explaining himself to her, Sakura went to the table, where almost all of the Akatsuki members were already sitting and talking among themselves. The pink-haired girl took the empty seat for herself and Sasori next to Haiden and Kakuzu. Pain sat, as befitted a leader, in the center of the round table, resting his hand on his chin and lazily watching the chewing. I wonder what kind of nickname I should give you. Sai shared his thoughts with Itachi, who was sitting across from him. He pretended not to hear. Sai decided to continue. How about cross-eyed? Or emo guy? Ha 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 ha, Sai is threatened with Tsukuyumi XDDP/B. Deidara tried so hard to hold on bravely that he had to bite his lower lip. He was shaking all over with laughter. Meanwhile, Kakuzu and Haiden were sorting things out. You should clean up after yourself. Go to hell. I'll do whatever I want. Followed by the choicest curses. Kakuzu looked and looked, endured and endured, and then took and tore off his only remaining whole arm. Damn it, Kakuzu! That was my best right hand. I'll rip your head off. Well, try it. The darned one was not afraid of threats. Until you clean up, I won't sew it on. Sakura watched in horror as Sasori sat down next to her. Do you always have such energetic breakfasts? The pink-haired girl decided to share her thoughts, moving closer to him. Good girl, flashed through Sasori's mind. Okay, who wants some smiley face pancakes? Conan asked in a serious tone. Me. Toby, Deidara and Haiden responded instantly. After everyone had pancakes and toast with jam on their plates, everyone began to eat. Haiden tried to use a knife with his teeth in his mouth to cut his pancake into pieces. Kakuzu took pity and decided to feed him with a fork. Well, thanks. Damn it, it would have been a lot better if I had at least one whole arm, Haiden growled, choking and working his jaws faster, looking at Kakuzu with fury. Deidara and Sai were talking animatedly about something, exchanging smiles. I wonder if Sai has found out anything about Akatsuki, or Sasuke yet. Sakura looked at them thoughtfully, slowly chewing her toast. Is something bothering you? Sasori asked curiously. She turned sharply to him and smiled artificially. No, nothing. The puppeteer, seeing how reluctantly she was to eat, quietly threw her a phrase as he rose from the table. Went. Sakura sighed heavily as she followed him. ________________________________________________________________________________________________________________________:_______________________________________________________________________________________________________It was raining outside. They chose a spot behind the trees and stood opposite each other. Suddenly they heard the crunch of wood. The fight is over. Sasori suddenly stopped and straightened up. Come out. What? _________________________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Listen, Day. Don't you think they're planning to take revenge on us now? Sai asked his partner as they walked down the corridor. He just waved it off. The old man won't do that. Sure? He doubted and sped up. __________________________________________________________________________________________________________________________guh Sakura tried to attack all the dolls at once, but it was harder than it seemed before. They're faster than last time, she thought, dodging all the needles that were flying at her. She tried to come up with a plan that would take them all at once, and she landed on the ground, breathing heavily. She looked up and saw one of Sai's ink birds, along with its author, the demolitionist, and Toby. Then she grinned and caught one of the puppets, throwing it upwards, creating a fountain of ink. I never would have thought that your art could also be blown up, MMM. Day mentally praised his partner. All three of them started to fall. Toby screamed as loud as he could. But Deidara quickly pulled out some clay and made one of his birds appear below them. Sakura shouted to them. Sorry, guys. But you better not bother us. Underscore 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 underscore. Sasori frowned when he realized what Sakura had done and attacked her with Karasu. She managed to repel his attack, but found herself in the arms of the puppeteer himself. He licked her neck. To the girl's puzzled look, he replied, Scratch. Sai, you have to see this. Day nudged his friend in the side. Oh. Free movie. Did anyone bring popcorn? Asked Mask innocently. Toby. The couple on the ground turned around. Sasori approached Sakura's lips, but hesitated for a long time. Sasori Dano, be a man! Day shouted at him. Sakura, stop thinking about Sasuke. There's such a chance right here. The inner Sakura screamed, and the girl made up her mind. Enthusiastic shouts and hoots. Finally, the couple broke the kiss. I hate the rain. Sakura grumbled, still puffing and blushing. Sasori smirked as he approached her face and said, I beg to differ. Underscore 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 underscore. Meanwhile, close to them, someone with a Sharingan was watching from behind cover. Chapter 10. It's better than TV. From Gvanta. I had a lot of things to do with my studies. I registered on Deva to chat with the author on the advice of a writer friend, whose novel fantasy I am currently editing. I found an interesting flash drive. Akatsuki on the clock. http://www.liveinternet.ru/users/38576671/post2015151406. A few emoticons for Akatsuki characters. Found in the comments on Deva, where I currently live. Daedara /-- Itachi, O/_/O. Haiden, straight face. Kakuzu, greedy face. Pain. Tobi O. Kisame, equals straight face equals. Sasori @_at. Zetsu, confused face. Conan /straight face / Orochimaru. Sasori answered when they returned to their room. He was sitting at his desk, working on his puppets. What? Sakura blinked and stood up from the bed, putting aside the book she was reading. She had already managed to put on dry clothes. Sasori stopped what he was doing and stood up from his chair, sitting on the edge of the bed next to the girl with a serious expression on his face. Kuchios, Edo Tensei. Pain found a scroll containing Orochimaru's technique in the rubble of one of the hideouts after Sasuke finished off his snake teacher. Pain had not yet been killed. Translator's note. So it was Orochimaru's technique that was able to revive them. I see. Sakura thought, secretly happy that she had received valuable information. Sasori looked at her strangely and smirked, approaching her. The girl was deep in thought and did not notice how the man's hands fell on her waist, pulling her closer to the red-haired guy. I think I gave you a comprehensive answer after all our embarrassing actions, he said, smiling predatorily and flashing an unkind sparkle in his eyes, noticing how Sakura flared up. Then she remembered how they had fought in the rain just now. That last part was so unexpected that it made her feel uneasy. She realized that things would be much more difficult if she and Sasori got closer. Thinking about it, Sakura turned away from Sasori, ashamed of using him for information. He looked at her curiously and asked, Something wrong? She didn't answer, just frowned slightly. Sakura just stared at the ceiling, unable to say anything. Should I tell him the truth? She thought with a sigh. Sasori continued to stare at her persistently, thinking, Oh gods, What did I do wrong? He shook his head, then leaned forward and kissed Sakura gently on the cheek. She turned and looked at him, slightly surprised and blushing, reproaching herself. You know what? Forget about this damn mission. This guy may be an S-rank criminal, but he's still a human. And the most decent guy I've ever met. Sasori, Sakura called out to the boy, returning from her thoughts. The pink-haired girl looked him straight in the eyes. Yes? He responded, still hugging the girl. Meanwhile, what the hell is this? Hayden screamed in frustration, flicking the remote through all the channels with his hands sewn onto Kakuzu. The rest of the Akatsuki watched him lazily as he huffed and puffed. There was absolutely nothing to watch on the box, on a Saturday night. But just when they were about to give up, Deidara, Sai, and Toby suddenly appeared. Don't worry, Deidara shouted, throwing this phrase to the crowd slowly sliding off the sofa. Then he pulled out what appeared to be a video camera and connected it to the VCR. Oh, let's remember our Wild Youth translator's note. My new and improved spy cameras, recording everything Sasori no Dana and Sakura do without them knowing, he said proudly. Pain sighed, resting his chin on his hand, and said, Deidara, why are you so absorbed in filming when they are in their room? Deidara blinked, saying, It's funny, yeah. They always provide interesting material, he finished, grinning. Then, snatching the remote from Hayden and prudently pushing it sideways as far as possible, he turned on the TV. In Sasori's room. I have to tell you something. Sasori raised an eyebrow in bewilderment, like this. http://img-fotk.yen/fotk.2/0_51515.2/0_CF493212_L. Sakura decided to continue. To tell the truth. Actually, Sasori stopped her. Remember this thought. The girl watched with interest as he pulled something out of his pocket. A small blue velvet box lay on his palm. Sakura looked at him with curiosity. Sai said that girls like things like that, so he paused, slightly embarrassed, and opened the box. Inside was a silver ring with a small red ruby. Sakura's eyes widened in surprise as she looked at the ring in his hands. What is this? The girl, taken aback by the action, said, stuttering a little. He looked up at Sakura and took her hand, placing the ring on her ring finger. Everything is obvious. She looked at him in awe, not understanding why he did this. Why? The girl asked. I just thought you might like it. That's all. He muttered, turning away from her, and continued. I can take it back if I don't like it. She blinked and smiled softly as she replied. It's beautiful, Sasori, I like it. Thank you. She then leaned forward and kissed him softly on the lips, causing his eyes to widen. The girl settled comfortably on his chest. So what did you want to tell me earlier? Sasori asked curiously. She flinched at his question and jumped up. Oh. I'll be right there. And she ran off to the bathroom. Meanwhile, in the living room. Don't give up, Sasori Dana. Go after her. Love always wins. Toby shouted enthusiastically, hugging the screen, to which the others angrily demanded that he move away, in a good way. Move it somewhere else, I can't miss it. Payne suddenly shouted. All eyes instantly turned to him. The leader folded his arms across his chest and spat. Yes. I am your leader. I can do and say whatever I want. So stop looking at me like that. Conan patted him on the shoulder, trying to calm him down. Itachi meanwhile sat in deep thought. Strange girl. Something is wrong here. Sai was completely shocked when he heard what Sasori said. He suddenly felt like jumping off a cliff. Tisk, he whispered. We're in trouble. In Sasori's room. Sakura. Sasori shouted at her, knocking on the bathroom door. Busy, they shouted back. Oh, women, the guy noticed. The door finally gave in, but instead of a girl, the puppeteer kissed Pink Soap. Pervert. She screamed, grabbing a towel and covering her body with it, and stomped away from him into the room. To be honest, it's impossible to change your clothes so quickly, he thought and followed her. Then they stopped, glaring at each other. You have to knock. And what the hell does that change? What do you mean? Why did you suddenly decide to take a bath without answering my question? None of your business. No, mine. Why are you reacting so harshly to this? Tell me the truth. What the hell is the truth, Sasori? It worked, Sasori softened his tone. I just want to talk to you. Talk? We have nothing to talk about. At that moment, Sasori grabbed her by the shoulders and whispered to her, dumbfounded. Why is it so hard for you to say that you love me? Sasori muttered, turning away. There was silence. Sakura looked at him for a minute and lowered her eyes. I think I've fallen in love with you, Sasori said, slightly nervous and not raising his eyes. Sakura walked up to him, clutching the towel that was still wrapped around her body. She stood on her tiptoes and leaned towards him, saying, I love you too, Sasori. Sasori turned and pulled her closer to him. At this time in the living room. My Dana, finally! I'm so proud of him! Day shouted. Sai glanced at him and asked, Will they be together now? Isn't it obvious? Damn, Sai. You're so weird sometimes. The Demolition Man replied, shaking his head. Damn, this is better than TV! Haiden shouted, smiling the whole time. In Sasori's room. You have nice breasts, Sakura, Sasori said after the kiss, grinning. She squealed and pulled the towel back up, slapping him. Sakura locked herself in the bathroom, but Sasori didn't even think about breaking in a second time. I'm still going to kill this Deidara. The bastard has set up cameras everywhere. Get out of this, damn it. And there were cameras, stuck, here too. Suddenly she felt a chill down her spine. Sakura looked to her left to see that the bathroom window was wide open. That's weird. I've never opened it before, she thought. Reaching for the window handle, she suddenly gasped, feeling someone's hand cover her mouth. Just squeak and I will kill you without hesitation. Sakura's eyes widened in surprise, recognizing the man's voice. No way! Sasuke? From Gvanta, we made it to the Far East. Hooray, comrades! Love and be loved. Te quiero, mis queridos lectors. Spanish, I love you, my dear readers. Chapter 11. Reunion meeting after separation. From Guanta. This clip by the author is perfect for this chapter. http://youtube.b/d2lzx1qngg. It's rare to come across a clip story, so enjoy. And this picture is also appropriate. http://browse.deviantart.com/?q equals $sasai%20 and %20 Sakura and order equals 9 and offset equals 216 #d1j3lx4. SwissGal16. Here comes the next chapter. P.S. You guys are so amazing. Getting such good feedback on a daily basis makes me feel so. Sasori, pathetically? SwissGal16, N.O. Sasori, undesirable? SwissGal16, crying face? Sasori smirks. Sakura slaps Sasori on the back of the head and says Sasori. Sasori frowns and rubs the back of his head. What? Deidara, oh! The enmity of lovers. Sasori and Sakura, shut up. SwissGal16, P.S. And I still don't own any of the characters. Crying face. Sweat glistened in large beads on the girl's large forehead as she tried to figure out what to do next. She looked around and noticed an inconspicuous peephole in the corner of the ceiling. Deidara's spy cameras are still there. That means Sasuke hasn't noticed yet. This is my chance, she thought. What happened? I thought you would be happy to see me again, the brunette whispered in her ear, noticing her fear. Sakura was embarrassed and bit the finger of the hand that was pressed to her mouth. Sasuke did not expect such agility from the one who once confessed her love to him, and pulled his hand away. Sakura took advantage of the moment, broke away from his deadly embrace, and punched him in the stomach. Sasuke flew to the sink, crashing into it. The crunch of ceramic was heard. Why did you suddenly remember me? The girl said mockingly, taking a fighting stance. Sasuke grinned evilly and flashed his Sharingan, rising from the rubble and taking out the Kusanagi sword from behind his back. Sakura was dumbfounded, having fallen under his genjutsu. Coming closer to her, he, to Sakura's fear, forced her to her knees, forcing her to look at the floor, and twisted her arm, putting the sword to her neck, saying, "I didn't think you'd go completely wild. What, there are no guys left in Konoha, and you came to Akatsuki? Shut up. He's more human than you." "Really? Well, it's okay, used ones will do for the clan's revival." "How dare you?" Sakura was outraged to the limit. She tried to break free from the captivity of illusions. The girl almost succeeded, when suddenly, at this time in the living room, "What the hell is your brother doing here, huh, Itachi?" Haiden asked. He just remained silent in response. "Sasuke? What a surprise," he thought, watching the fight with interest. Deidara angrily pointed his finger at the screen and screamed, "That's the bastard who killed me. Oh no! He's going to kill Sakura-chan. What are we going to do, Pain-sama?" Toby cried out, shaking the leader's hand. Pain jerked his hand away, causing Toby to fall to the floor, and said, "I want to see how Sakura can hold her own during this fight. Especially since... Oh, by the way, where is Sasori no Dana?" Deidara interrupted him. "A few minutes before in the bedroom. I guess I was too hasty with my offer. How stupid," thought the disappointed Sasori, and was about to return to his puppets when he heard the sound of ceramics, the sink breaking. "Ah, these women's days," he decided. "But why destroy the equipment? What did it do wrong?" The noise suddenly stopped. "Well, this is beyond the pale." The guy thought angrily and hurried to the bathroom. The door wouldn't budge and he had to kick it down. Ah, women's days. Sasori is really Patrocyan at XDP/B. In the bathroom, Sasori stared at the sight that opened up to him with unnaturally bulging eyes, Sakura, in tattered pajamas, and with her some brunette. "Sakura, you know that I hate." "And what are you doing here?" "Yeah, guess what? Peeling potatoes." Translator's note. Sasuke visibly soured when he saw that it wasn't Itachi, and yanked Sakura up off the floor and sheathed her sword. She looked at the puppeteer with pain. "Was it really just you who was sent?" As you can see, the puppeteer did not remain in debt and noted, "This is not the best place for a battle. Is she really that dear to you?" "Yes." Catch. Sasuke threw it at Sasori and pierced both of them with Iso's Chidori. Sakura bit Sasori's lips and closed her eyes. Suddenly, their figures disappeared in a cloud of smoke. The Uchiha was taken aback by such a surprise. He ran out of the bathroom and looked around. They were not in the room. Only on the table was a piece of paper with the words, "If you want to see Itachi, then meet me on the field." Sasuke ran there. At this time in the living room. "Pain-sama, are we sure we shouldn't interfere?" Deidara was now fiddling with the leader's sleeve. "No, this is his fight. Let go," Pain ordered. Sa was completely shocked when he saw Sasuke. He never expected to see the Uchiha here. "I think we should still help Sakura, but Sasori is with her, so there is no doubt that he and Sakura will be able to defeat him. Could you pass me some chips?" he said, turning to Itachi, who glared at him with a flaming Sharingan that didn't bode well for Sai. Chapter 12. Consequences. Conan. Give her something to put on. The puppeteer who had materialized in the living room shouted. All of Akatsuki stared in surprise at the whitewashed couple. Had to use a smoke bomb to distract him. But it's better to finish him off quickly. The red-haired man was already rushing out of the room when he was stopped by Sakura, who had already managed to wrap herself in a cloak. "Sasori, but your wound." "Wait at least a minute," the girl begged the warlike guy. Then Pain himself intervened. "Sakura is right. You gave in to Itachi's brother's attack on a whim. By the way," blue eyes with lake ripples followed the long-haired man who was hypnotizing Sai, who was blowing ink bubbles. "Itachi, this is your brother. Stop your fun and pacify your relative." He slowly stood up and cast an unkind glance at Sakura, from which she shrank all over, but did not stop illuminating with greenish chakra, reluctantly agreeing Sasori. Itachi left the room. "If the fight can be resolved diplomatically, then this is the most likely. Sakura and Sasori took advantage of Conan and Pain's kindly provided room. The latter grumbled a lot. Listen, won't it be too much for them? Oh, come on, Pain. You're so wonderful. Your Shurato, one of Pain's 6 bodies, will fix everything in no time, Conan responded. This Shurato? I can do it better myself. I really want to see it. With these words they disappeared into the darkness of the corridor. Well, now they think we're newlyweds, Sakura drooped, blushing like Senor Tomato. Sasori patted her on the shoulder with a serious expression, opening the door. The room was much larger than theirs. More spacious. Purple fabrics hung from the ceiling in large folds. As soon as they entered, the first thing that caught their eye, causing them to round out, was a spacious giant bed. I'm going to take a shower. Sakura suddenly came to her senses and flew into the bathroom. Okay, Sasori responded with the calmness of a well-fed boa constrictor. You don't belong to anyone but me. Sakura filled the bath with pink foam and lay down in it, relaxing. Today's meeting and the treatment of the puppeteer took a lot of strength, so she did not notice how the door creaked quietly and something covered the girl with a light shadow. Sasori emerged from the foam and pressed his lips to hers, waiting for a response. Sasori? Popped into Sakura's mind when she felt something soft and warm quietly licking the scarlet border of her lips. The girl was surprised, sighing loudly and opening her mouth a little, giving the puppeteer the opportunity to deepen his kiss, exploring her palate with his nimble tongue. Playing with her tongue. Sakura threw her arms around his neck, pressing herself closer to him. He did not hesitate to grab her by the waist, positioning the girl more comfortably on his lap. His hands continued to explore her body, and the kiss broke off and moved to her neck. Sakura convulsively began to swallow air. With a ragged breath, the girl babbled. Sorry. I'm very, yes vi, let's do it tomorrow. The puppeteer reluctantly tore himself away from his work and whispered in her ear, licking it. You are only mine now, doll. With these words, he lifted her out of the bath and moved her to the bed. Sakura tried to wrap herself in a cocoon of sheets, but Sasori unwound her and continued. Soon he fell asleep on the girl's chest. She hugged his head with a smile and fell asleep after him. Sakura tossed and turned in bed, sweat dripping from her forehead. The same nightmare. It was pitch dark, and the only thing she could smell was blood. She shuddered, trying to find a way out of the darkness, sighing when she saw a light ahead. The girl ran to the source, but what she saw did not please her. All her friends, family and teachers lay in a crumpled heap in front of her. Why? Sakura said, sobbing. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she screamed, falling to her knees. Why can't you just leave me alone? Sasori! Where are you? She covered her face with her hands, sobbing, and did not notice how a dark figure approached her. Then she felt someone with a cold hand lift her face by the chin. Yes, dear, he replied, leaning forward. Sakura's eyes widened in surprise. It was Sasori in his puppet form, but his touch was no longer warm, only cold and hard as wood. Then she gasped as he suddenly leaned forward and forced a kiss on her. Why? Sakura repeated barely audibly. The puppeteer looked at her again with cold eyes, embracing her almost tenderly. Tears continued to fall from her face. This is how you always saw me, and who I will become when I learn the truth. Sasori replied in a chilling whisper, which sent shivers down Sakura's spine. Her face twisted in surprise as he suddenly pulled out a blade from one of his hands and almost instantly pierced her. The wound gaped and blood flowed from Sakura's chest, forming a small puddle on the ground. A small drop of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth, but before it could reach her chin, the puppeteer caught it with the tip of his sharp tongue. Sakura gasped and stood up with a jerk. Damn! What do I do now? She muttered to herself. Sasori was fast asleep next to her, hugging a pillow. Sakura sighed, getting out of bed with difficulty. Her body still ached from yesterday's kisses from the puppeteer. The girl, wrapped in a robe, quietly left the room, carefully closing the door behind her. Then she leaned on it, and sliding to the floor, thought about what had happened. Everything was taking a really unpleasant turn, Not only had Sasuke appeared at the wrong time, but she had also allowed herself to sleep with Sasori. Having trouble sleeping? She suddenly heard a deep voice behind her. The pink-haired girl almost screamed in fear and turned around. Itachi was standing behind her, looking at her sarcastically. And what business is it of yours?" He ignored her question and said sharply, "You must tell him before my brother does." She raised an eyebrow in bewilderment. He finally loosened Saya's tongue, the bastard, and then sighed, asking, "By the way, where is Sasuke? I still have him." She looked down, clenching her fists angrily and voicing the main question. "And what do you intend to do now? Sasori has changed since you appeared." Itachi looked around the corridor and said goodbye, walking towards the buffet. "Be careful, anything can happen." Sakura stood there, pondering Itachi's words, and hurried to visit Deidara and Sai. Something urgently needed to be done. Underscore. This may sound stupid, but why don't we try to form an alliance with Akatsuki? Sai responded, feigning innocence as she dragged him sleepily out of the room, adding, "He'll find out anyway." "Find out what?" Sasori, folding his arms across his chest, looked at them seriously. "Come here," he beckoned to the girl. From the translator, "It just so happens that love scenes are easier for me than battle scenes. For those who like the latter, watch this clip. http://youtube.b/x3serdigao bye. Chapter 13. Just disappear. Once in the room, she shook her head slightly, looking at the ground, not wanting to meet his gaze. It was one of those moments when she felt like she just wanted to disappear. But unfortunately, in situations like this, it wasn't even possible. "Look, Sasori. I know I lied, but you understand me. I was only doing a task," and she was stopped when fingers suddenly lifted her face by the chin and brought it closer. The girl's eyes widened, burning into the gaze of the puppeteer's brown eyes. "Carrying out the task? That's a lie, isn't it?" he asked quietly, but in a sharp tone. "I just wanted," Sakura whispered through the tears that were streaming down her cheeks. Everything was mixed up on Sasori's face: anger, surprise, confusion. "I know you must hate me now. That's okay, but I want you to understand that I was willing to give up the mission for you," she cried out in despair, gently running her hand over his cheek. He looked away, too embarrassed and angry to look at her. "So it was all a lie," the puppeteer muttered to the side. She gritted her teeth in resentment and cried out in her heart, "No, Sasori! I may have lied when I joined the organization, but everything else that happened was real." The slap whistled past her ear. Sakura blinked. Sasori simply took a step back and, looking away, ordered, "Get out of my sight." She closed her eyes for a moment, biting her lips, and then said quietly, "But I still love you." Sasuke quietly walked up to Sakura from the darkness and put his hand on her shoulder, saying, "Now follow me, Sakura." He whispered in a mocking tone, "He lost. We're going back to Konoha. Sai has already left." She gritted her teeth and tried to force him to let go. Sasori looked back at her with sad eyes, thinking, "She was willing to give up everything she had for me? I'm just a middleman. I was just used." Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl was spinning in a whirlwind of leaves along with Sasuke. "Sasori, forgive me if you can," Sakura whispered, not noticing how a single tear slid down her pale cheek, glistening. It became uncomfortably quiet. The silence was oppressive, and it was impossible to escape from it. Sasori wandered towards the living room where Akatsuki was sitting and said in a casual tone, "Sakura Haruno just betrayed us." Pain took a step forward, saying, "Sasori, I didn't expect this, but do you remember what we discussed when she first showed up here?" Sasori simply looked away, strands of his red hair covering his eyes. "Yes," he said dully, feeling like a little boy who had been cheated. Wait, what, beep? The sad ass just let her go," Hayden interjected. "Toby wants Sakura-chan to come back," Toby roared, choking on tears. "This is, of course, interesting. Setsu said from somewhere above. Conan frowned. Pain, are you serious? The leader turned to her, answering. Yes. We've already talked about this, and even though we were all very attached to this girl, she betrayed us. However, Sai, without finishing his thought, he turned to the man who was standing to the side. Sai stood calmly and aloofly, and suddenly exploded into a fountain of ink splashes. A clone? Itachi whispered to himself. He must have gone after Sakura. Deidara croaked, getting up from the couch and rubbing his neck. Everyone turned to him in surprise. It turned out that Sai had managed to save his friend from Sasuke not long before. I think I can handle it, Pain-sama, Itachi said, breaking the silence. Underscore 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 underscore. Sakura blinked and slowly opened her eyes, adjusting to the darkness. Then she looked around and tried to get up, but nothing happened. Her hands and feet were tied. The girl was carried over the shoulder. What the hell is going on? The girl shouted into the darkness. Then she gasped in horror, realizing that she would be helpless for a while. Quiet! A painfully familiar voice ordered her. It was Sasuke. What the hell are you doing? Sakura shouted angrily as he suddenly placed her on the ground in the small room. The guy didn't answer her. Closing the door behind him, he turned to her, grinning. Finding Itachi was my main goal, but after finding you among the Akatsuki, everything changed, he replied, leaning against the wall. What the hell do you mean, everything changed? She spat angrily. You took advantage of the moment. You ruined everything, you fucking. She didn't have time to finish her thought, as her mouth was roughly shut. Well, since when are you so bad at speaking, huh, Sakura? Was Sasori so good? The girl's eyes widened in amazement. Sasuke laughed, which brought her out of her stupor. Sakura quickly broke away and bit his hand. But he managed to pull his hand away. You're still as pathetic as ever, Sakura. But you'll help me. I'd rather be dead than listen to your sick crap. You really haven't changed. Are you really Sasuke? You still use people to achieve your stupid goals and then throw them away like Karen. Sasori turned out to be a much bigger person, even if we hated each other in the beginning, but he's the only person who ever truly cared about me. Even if he hates me now. Her eyes were red, but the tears continued to trickle down her cheeks. A slap whistled past. Sakura is definitely lucky when it comes to slaps p/n. You talk too much. Get to work, Sasuke commanded. Underscore 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 underscore. Sasori, are you crazy? Are you really going to return her even after all this? Deidara looked at his comrade, who was examining his dolls, fixing the problems in them. Complete nonsense of the translator. Kisame took out Samahata and exclaimed, shaking the shaky walls, So? And where did Itachi disappear to without me? Akatsuki shrugged in surprise. Suddenly, a shaggy Itachi walks into the room, followed by Swiss Gal 16, adjusting his clothes and combing his unruly hair. Then he hands it to Itachi. Itachi, no need to yell like that, Kisame. Kisame fell in a drop. The Akatsuki's faces stretched in surprise. Straight face, the author always gets the best p/b. Chapter 14. The Puppeteer's Emotions. I swear I'll kill you! Sakura growled as the boy dragged her out of the room, down the dark hallway, and stood her in front of one of the dimly moonlit doors. Where the hell is he taking me? She thought, beads of sweat falling from her face. He then opened the door and let her in. The girl didn't have time to see the room, as she was lightly and sharply pushed into the corner with the words, I don't want to waste my time convincing you to join me, Sakura. In response, the girl only snorted in the face of the smug, impudent man. In the darkness, the Sharingan flashed red. She growled when she realized that her hands were still tied, making it impossible to move. Sakura quickly turned away from him, trying not to look him in the eyes. But it was too late. She's already caught in a genjutsu. Sakura slowly opened her eyes and realized that she was floating in the middle of space. Where am I? The girl muttered in confusion. Her voice echoed loudly off the walls of the room. Then she gasped when she felt someone's hand covering her mouth and pulling her sharply towards him. Images of her friends flashed through her mind, causing her pain. A few moments later, she opened her eyes, noticing a figure nearby. Sakura, a voice that was so familiar and had become like home, called out to her. Sakura immediately recognized him and looked in his direction. Sasori! WH. Deer abruptly cut her off and grabbed her by the neck, squeezing tightly. The girl convulsively gasped for air, feeling like a fish out of water. It's time to take me back, he said, seasoning his statement with a pinch of metal and a cynical look that turned him into an emotionless doll. His hands were hard and cold. The same cloak, the same wooden body underneath. Her eyes widened and her body shook. The nightmare repeated itself in reality. He was going to kill her. Sasori, no, no! It's genjutsu. It's just another one of my nightmares. Sasuke put me under his genjutsu. Sakura screamed, grabbing Sasori's wooden hand and looking to his eyes for support. He smirked slightly and then said, After I learned the truth, I decided to get rid of these troublesome emotions and become who I am. A puppet. He spat out the last word and began to tighten his grip on her neck. She gritted her teeth. And although Sakura knew that it was all genjutsu, it was actually quite creepy. Tell me what you're thinking about, my dear? He asked, looking at her gloomily. Underscore 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 underscore. Sasuke chuckled as he watched her scream and thrash around in agony. I can stop, Sakura. All I need from you is a positive answer. Uchiha whispered in Sakura's ear, watching as she took a shaky breath. The girl shook her head, biting her lip, tears glistening in the darkness. Pink hair tangled. Her strength was running out. He frowned. But before Sasuke could do anything, the door swung open and an alarmed blonde guy flew into the room. Sasuke, Yugo, and Karen are unconscious. One of the Akatsuki bastards took them, and he's still somewhere near the base. Sasuke cursed as he ordered. Detain him. But don't go overboard, Suigetsu. Then I'll deal with him myself. Suddenly, the one who was addressed to collapsed to the floor like a gelatinous amoeba, and Sasuke saw him. The cloaked figure slowly entered the room. TCH. The Uchiha stated angrily, then turned around and noticed that Sakura was still under the genjutsu. She suddenly started screaming, shouting Sasori's name in fear. This made the guest look at the girl. Sasuke reached for his sword. I thought those were her screams. A dark voice from nowhere. Show yourself. Sasuke ordered, activating his Sharingan. I really hate waiting. So I'll finish this quickly. Sasuke raised his eyebrows as he noticed the guest suddenly vanish into thin air. He became wary, scanning the area carefully. Where the hell is he? He thought to himself. He then widened his eyes and pulled out his katana as two dolls appeared in front of him. The meeting of mother and father. Sasori's voice sounded clearly. Underscore 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 underscore. Her neck was covered in bruises from suffocation. Sakura managed to sit up, coughing but still breathing heavily. The puppeteer was now some distance away from her, opening his cloak and smiling slightly as she looked at him with fear and anger in her eyes. The cord in his stomach slowly uncoiled, turning blue with poison. "Goodbye, baby." Dark words. A flying pike on an unfurled cord. She smiled for a moment, overcoming the new pain. "I'm so sorry, Sasori. Maybe I really do deserve this. It doesn't matter anymore whether you're a human or a puppet. I still love you." Finally, at the moment of greatest danger, she was able to confess and open up. What frightened her most, and what she tried to hide from, still caught up with the girl. Chapter 15. A rare idiot. Damn it! Why do I have to kill him? Day thought as he followed Sai's footprints in the sand. Payne's an idiot! Why the hell is he the leader anyway? All he does is watch soap operas and give us orders. Mutiny on the ship P/N. Lost in his thoughts, the blonde didn't notice the stone lying on the ground, which he stumbled over and fell face down into the hot sand. Cursing everything in the world through his teeth, on which the sand was creaking, and spitting, Day sat up, rubbing his neck. Payne gave Deidara a new mission. Flashback. Deidara. I believe that you also remember that your mission is to follow Sasori, said Payne, sitting on the other side of the long table, to his protege, who was quietly tapping his fingers on the wood and looking away absently, resting his chin on his hand and expressing universal boredom. Yes. But why me? The demolition man couldn't help but look at the leader. As it turned out, in vain. Rinnegan was boring into Day's blue eye, and he felt sick. And who installed hidden cameras in the room and spied on Sakura? Huh! Payne knew how to shut up the dissatisfied. Okay, I'll do it. But why should I kill him? Day had nowhere to go. Payne sighed and replied, closing his eyes and holding back his anger at the bright head's slow-wittedness. Because both he and Sakura have obtained a fair amount of information about Akatsuki. That's why they must be eliminated. The end of flashback. I wonder if Sasori killed her? Day scratched his temple and, groaning, rose from the sand, continuing on his way. After some distance had been covered, a white stone appeared to him, which, when approached, turned out to be real, and even musical. It was purring. The blonde crept up and was very surprised to see Sai sleeping. He must be trying to find Sakura. Deidara decided to himself, his lips curling into a grin. The demolition man reached for his bag of clay, but stopped, lost in thought. Damn it! I know I have a mission to do, but I don't want to do it. Yeah, the guy may be ignorant and weird sometimes, but he's like a brother to me. Beads of sweat rolled down his forehead, his teeth were clenched, his eyes were closed. He faced a difficult choice. We did so much together, spying on the restless couple, he means Sasori and Sakura. And how he admired my explosions! But since Day was deep in his thoughts, he didn't notice that Sai had woken up and was now standing behind him. Taken by surprise, Day jumped up and hugged him. Sai's eyes widened and narrowed into slits again. Deidara, are you gay? Your ass to the left. Sai, you're an idiot, and a rare idiot at that. The blonde abruptly released the artist from his embrace. Sai raised an eyebrow in surprise and asked, So you don't like me at all? He began to explain clearly to this unique individual. Actually, you should have thrown away your tassels by now. But I changed my mind. Besides, you're the only guy I can shake hands with. Plus, you like to make fun of Itachi, just like me. Sai smiled at Day and the friends hugged. After a while, an idea struck Sai. He removed his hands from the demolition man's shoulders and, taking his small book out of his bag, began to quickly rustle the pages. Day watched with undisguised surprise. The brunette smirked slightly when he found the page he was looking for. How to thank a friend for helping you in difficult situations. 1. If your friend happens to be a man, playfully nudge him with your shoulder and thank him. To Day's even greater surprise, Sai performed the trick. Without waiting for his comrade to recover from such a display of friendship, Sai suggested to him. We need to hurry to find Sasori and Sakura. Day reached into his bag and, pulling out some clay, began to conjure, to the brunette's amazement. Don't worry about her, My Dana is softer than you think. First impression from the phrase, "What? Sasori is softer than clay?" P/B. Then he remembered his fight with the master, which almost ended badly for him, and he swallowed nervously, sending 1,000 goosebumps down his spine. "I hope so," he finished. There was no trace left of his former enthusiasm. "Day, do you happen to know where we are?" After a long silence and turning his head from side to side, Sai finally decided to ask his friend a question. The flight on the clay bird had noticeably tired them both. It seemed as if they were circling in place. "And you, I bet, are the smartest one," the blonde answered, turning away. "Where the hell are we really?" he thought as he looked down, and saw that they had somehow reached the sea. Directing the bird closer to the water, Deidara leaned over a little, not noticing that something black, like a sail, floated past them. "Something is fishy here," Sai thought as he took out the inkwell and scrolls. Deidara continued to lean towards the water, but then widened his eyes in surprise as a giant creature jumped out of the water. "Oh! A shark!" Day recognized it immediately. The black figure of the shark, snapping its teeth and grabbing a piece of the bird, dived back into its element. Cats, the demolition man took advantage of the moment. Smiling. There was a big explosion. Fountains of spray rose from the sea. 2 figures of guys flew up. An inkwell and several scrolls flew up, which suddenly came to rest on the seabed. Approaching the water, Deidara reached into his pocket, but to his and not only his surprise, he found nothing there. 2 puzzled glances met. He had to dive. "Take off your clothes," Sai commanded, his expression stern before the blonde's eyes, as soon as they surfaced. "For what?" Deidara shouted back, and his only eye not covered by his bangs turned into a saucer. "Oh no!" Translator's note: May Nastanaka and the readers forgive me. I don't know when I'll appear. Chapter 16. The end of illusion In the latest series, her neck was covered in bruises from suffocation. Sakura managed to sit up, coughing but still breathing heavily. Now the puppeteer was at some distance from her, opening his cloak and smiling slightly. She looked at him with fear and anger in her eyes. The cord in his stomach slowly uncoiled, turning blue with poison. "Goodbye, baby," gloomy words. A flying pike on an unfurled cord. She smiled for a moment, overcoming the new pain. "I'm so sorry, Sasori. Maybe I really deserve this. It doesn't matter anymore whether you're a human or a puppet. I still love you." Finally, at the moment of greatest danger, she was able to confess and open up. What frightened her the most, and what she tried to hide from, still caught up with the girl. Underscore 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 underscore. Sakura took a deep breath and closed her eyes, waiting for it to be over. She waited, but nothing happened. This surprised the girl a little, and she opened her eyes. Looking around, Sakura lowered her head and almost choked. The tip of the spear was a centimeter from the left side of her chest, where her heart was beating convulsively. "Sakura," a creeping whisper brought her out of her stupor. Sakura blinked in confusion, not understanding what was happening. This must be one of Sasuke's genjutsu, but why Sasori? The thought flashed through the pink head like a swift doe. "Sakura," Sasori's figure stood in front of the girl. "As Sasori?" Sakura said, slightly hesitating as to the truth of what she saw. "Thank you," was heard instead of an answer. The girl's thin eyebrows arched in bewilderment. Sasori smiled sadly, watching the face of his beloved. He came closer, gently running his hand over her cheek. A cold and hard wooden palm, but the girl did not object. "Goodbye." Sakura felt her eyes growing moist. She wanted to stop him, but the puppeteer was moving away and gradually dissolving into the surrounding darkness. underscore 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 underscore. Damn it! My genjutsu is wearing off. Sasuke thought angrily as he tried to defend himself from the doll's attacks. He then decided to use Cat-on. Both dolls dodged, but did not stop attacking. Grinding his teeth angrily and seeing them approaching him, Sasuke formed seals and 1,000 small lightning bolts fluttered like frightened birds in his hand. As soon as he did this, the militant brunette jumped towards the wooden figures. At the same time, "Now give me my shirt back, you smiling bastard!" the tied-up blonde man shouted. All of Deidara's clothes, except for his boxer shorts with birds on them, now looked like a giant sail of a small boat cutting through the ocean's surface. "The sail is still not big enough," the pale brunette answered calmly, tightening the sea knot on his comrade's back. Deidara, tired of making fruitless attempts to get out of this, red and angry, only said, "Go to hell, Sai. Stop wearing a micro-blouse and showing your belly." Chapter 17. Unexpected meeting She coughed and moved with difficulty after opening her eyes. Her vision was clouded, everything was blurry, she could only see Sasuke's figure standing in the middle of the room. The brunette stood with his back to her and, swaying unnaturally, slowly sank to the floor, holding his face with his hand. The girl felt her strength return. She tore the ropes that painfully bound her arms and legs. The pink-haired girl looked towards Sasuke. He was still breathing, but with difficulty and gritting his teeth, he tried to rise, taking a fighting stance. "The more you try to move, the faster the poison spreads," Sasori said calmly. Sasuke cursed and then closed his eyes for a moment. "Sasori!" A weak, hoarse voice distracted the puppeteer. He turned around, seeing that Sakura was barely getting up, holding onto the wall with one hand, hugging her stomach with the other, and trying to crawl to him on shaking legs. Sasori caught her in his arms when she, completely exhausted, swayed down. He then looked at Sasuke, who was still breathing heavily. "I'm going to do you a favor, Uchiha." He only slightly raised his head, which seemed to be filled with lead, and stared silently. "I will return you to Konoha, and what they decide there is no longer my business." Underscore 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 underscore. The first words Sakura said when she greeted the new day were, "Nice to see you, little witch." "Hello to you too, Sai," she answered her interlocutor, yawning sweetly and stretching. Sai stood in front of her, but something about him was not right. The girl rubbed her eyes. That was it. Sai was wearing a stupid robe of faded alcoholic tank top, stretched to his knees. Feeling his gaze on him, he narrowed his eyes into slits and replied, "This is how Day takes revenge on me. He tries." The striptease lover sighed sadly. Sakura barely suppressed the laughter that was trying to come out. She hugged her friend understandingly, and, stepping away from him, asked, "By the way, how is Sasuke?" She asked her question after a short pause. "And have you already forgotten Sasori?" Sai smiled sarcastically. "Oh, you!" Sakura flared up. "Oh. So you've completely recovered," Sai answered and hastened to add, "Yes, he's alive, alive. Be careful with him." A very familiar calm voice distracted her. "That's right, Sakura. That's it, Another one interrupted him. Sakura turned around and saw her comrades. "Sasori! Go!" She came up and hugged them. The demolition man delicately left, taking Sai with him. Sasori stood by the mainsail. He was so beautiful, blown by the wind, that Sakura couldn't help but admire him. The girl kissed him on the cheek, he hugged her around the waist, like a brave captain. Sasori, and what about us later? Two emerald lights stared at the puppeteer in surprise. I have decided to leave the organization, he replied simply. The girl smiled and hugged him. Something stirred in the large barrel next to her Karasa's stomach. She looked at Sasori, who nodded. Sasuke was there. Don't worry, the poison isn't fatal, he hastened to reassure the girl. After a moment of silence, Sakura smiled, lifted her head from where it rested on her beloved's shoulder, and said to him, You know, Sasori, for the first time that night I didn't have nightmares. Oh, that joker Itachi. So it was him? Sakura interrupted him, looking at the guy with concern. Sasori hugs her to his chest with a smile and strokes her hair. Silly girl, it's all over. Underscore 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 underscore. Having reached dry land, the boys reached Konoha without incident, meeting Naruto on the way, who was training nearby in the forest. He immediately laughed at Sai's new outfit, but Sakura took pity on him and gave her Akatsuki cloak. Ino, seeing next to Sai, wrapped in a dark cloak, oh, horror! Some blonde who looked terribly like her, briskly headed towards the couple. You! How dare you, with this prostitute? You got it all wrong, Ino! Sai tried to stand up for his friend, putting on his smile. Actually, I'm a guy, Day responded. Ha! The girl didn't believe him and continued to bully her boyfriend. Stung by this, Day could think of nothing better to do than to strip completely naked. Kaya! With rounded pupils and a dropped jaw, Ino hit Sayu. Have you already switched to boys? Stepping away from the chaos, Sakura turned to the puppeteer and exclaimed. The puppet master is back. You're right, my dear. Sasori answered her and gently touched her lips.